Hey there everyone, and welcome to the startup process. So, can you imagine how huge of a business the Hilton Hotels and Hyatt Hotels are? It's a lot to say the least, right? After all, they are the number 1 and number 2 hotel chains in the world. Well, add the third biggest hotel chain, Marriott, and combine the worth of all three of these. There you have it, Airbnb's worth. Not many years ago, if someone told you that a business that is run essentially on the internet would surpass the most successful and luxurious hotels in the world, that too by miles, you would have probably laughed in their face. But today, Airbnb is a reality that is worth more than 100 billion USD. In case you don't know, it is an extremely popular online marketplace that, in essence, rents out properties to people. So on one hand, any person within the 220 countries it operates in can make a room, an apartment, a house, a villa, or whatever extra property they may have available for rent. And on the other hand, anyone traveling within the countries or just looking for a place to stay could pay to rent them out. So does Airbnb own any of these properties? Nope, none of them. They are simply the platform buyers and sellers can meet each other on, while Airbnb begs a small cut of the fee charged. Pretty simple, yet amazing. But how did they start, and what led them to become that huge of a success? Let's find out. The story starts with 3 friends, Nathan, Joe, and Brian. Nathan and Joe were roommates in San Francisco at that time and were really struggling to pay their rent as it was getting expensive and they had little to no money. This made Nathan leave the apartment, and similar problems made Brian move to San Francisco as well, as his apartment rent had surpassed his total money. Brian and Joe, designers themselves, saw a design conference being announced in San Francisco. Initially, they wanted to just participate in the conference so they would get some ideas to make cash. But they realized that all the hotels were booked out for the event, and this made them see that they could cash in on it. They decided that they should serve airbeds for the guests and offer them breakfast in the morning. This gave birth to the whole idea of airbedandbreakfast.com. After some advertising, they managed to get 3 people on board and made $1,000 that week. This turned to be a good week for them. Can you imagine that Brian, who might sound like he was already close to success, actually ate dog food and spent nights without eating for as many as 2 years after he got this whole business idea? That reflects the sheer determination and willpower these folks had to make their own thing work. Well, let's fast forward a couple of months. Nathan also quits his job, and now these friends really want to make this business work. They set up the Airbnb website within a month and only managed to get a dozen people in the world to list their properties, and only 3 of those get rented out. You and I would probably get disappointed and back off, but not these people. They decided to upgrade the one thing in their control, the website. After some alterations in design and payment system, they relaunched the website just 3 months before the National Democratic Conference, where Obama was to give a speech. Of course, at this point, they knew very well that conferences and the rise in internet popularity could be very profitable. So, interestingly enough, up until this point, they had been relying heavily on credit cards and were highly indebted. I'm honestly surprised they hadn't filed for bankruptcy yet. Well, back to the Obama conference and relaunch of the website. To their utmost surprise, the website managed to get 800 properties listed within the first week, and the news reported that there were far more people looking to attend the conference than there were hotels in the area. That's when these geniuses managed to get a live interview with CNN. Why was that genius? Well, free and timely marketing. This actually helped them get another 100 property listings and some decent amount of money at the end. But sadly, this was not a battle they had won yet. The business dropped to nearly zero after the conference ended, and things started to look really bad again. Their debts were constantly increasing, and they had never made enough to pay them all off. The huge debts and declining business led them to make Obama cereals and t-shirts. Sounds like a joke, but they again managed to get CNN live. How did this idea end up doing? They managed to sell $1 worth of cereals for $40 a pop and a total of 30,000. Pretty amazing, right? Well, if 800 property listings did not even erase their debt, a meager $30K could not have possibly funded their business. These jobless entrepreneurs were to start then looking for investors. After a lot of hustle, they managed to get a meeting with Paul Graham, the founder of a program called Y Combinator. Despite some serious convincing, Paul decided against investing in their startup. While walking out though, Jove gave a box of Obama cereals to Paul and then told him its success story. This actually impressed Paul a lot, who then decided to take him in their program so they could work with him and be able to interact with other experts. You may be thinking Y Combinator was probably not a lot of help, but it helped them gain exposure and contacts, finally allowing them to get investment worth $500,000. When this still wasn't enough to help them gain pace, one of the experts at Y Combinator discussed the business with them and advised them to move to New York, the place that hosted most of their users. They liked this advice and did exactly so. This made them realize that the pictures listed on the website were actually quite terrible and blurry. Hey, everyone did not have advanced smartphones back then, and we all know how crappy the camera qualities were. Well, they decided to waste no time and bought a camera and then went door to door to re-click every single photo listed in New York. Isn't that truly inspirational? It turns out that the whole moving to New York idea after the first big investment proved to be just the catalyst for the business they had wanted. Revised prices, improved photo qualities, some enthusiastic users who wanted the idea to succeed all played their role in the success that was soon to follow. Things began to pick up pace really fast, and they had now successfully managed to spark a light in their business without needing an annual event. Perhaps the best form of advertising in those days was word of mouth. People that used Airbnb started to list their properties as well. Seeing them make money, the word spread like fire. Soon property listings from Barcelona, Berlin, and Hong Kong started to pop up. And hey, turning this thing international required no more effort and struggle than they had already endured. After all, it was mostly all online. The concept continued to grow as the internet became more accessible and the never-ending problem of high rents never got solved. Years of effort were finally now bearing fruit. It actually took Airbnb 4 years to get their first million guests. By 2013, they had served an additional 7 million guests. Today, the number is 11 million. As of now, Airbnb is spread across 220 countries and has upwards of 600,000 properties listed. As you can imagine, COVID was a huge travel deterrent and business suffered for Airbnb in 2020. But they possess just the management team and previous success to steer past it, which they already did. A well-timed decision of making the company public at the end of 2020, just when vaccines were announced, brought billions of dollars in cash and made the stock roar, putting Airbnb in a better position than pre-pandemic times. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please support us by subscribing to our channel and clicking that like button. See you again with the next video.